Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Like Christ for First Chronicles chapter 9. If you want the PDF, it's on our website for free. There's a link in the description. First Chronicles 9, you know what that means if you've been studying with us through First Chronicles. This is our last genealogy chapter, so I'm excited. I'm sure you're excited. First Chronicles is primarily about the reign of David. That's what we're going to talk about in chapter 10 through the end of the chapter. That was approximately 1055 to 1015 BC. David reigned 40 years. Now keep in mind, the book of First Chronicles was written several hundred years after David reigned, so there is going to be a reference to Judah's Babylonian captivity when they were taken away to Babylon. That was between the years of 607 and 537 BC. For our key characters today, we are going to talk about those returning exiles. After being held captive in Babylon for about 70 years, some of the people of Judah chose to return to their homeland and rebuild their homes and rebuild the temple. We're also going to talk about Saul, who was the king of Israel and Judah before David. He was anointed by the prophet Samuel, and he reigned from about 1095 to 1055 BC. Let's talk about our map now. Where did these events take place? One of our locations is going to be on the map. The other one is not. Let's start with the one that's not. Mesopotamia, or the city of Babylon. This is where the people of Judah were taken after they were conquered by Babylon. It's hundreds of miles to the east across the desert. Now for the one that's on the map. Saul was originally from Gibeah, which is just to the north of Jerusalem. Now we move over to page number 2. Our first section under the outline is verses 1 through 34, a record of the first exiles to return from Babylon. So about 400 years after David, God punished the people of Judah because they refused to obey him and to follow his laws. He allowed the Babylonians to come and conquer them and to exile them to their land. They were under the control of the Babylonians for about 70 years before God allowed them to return to their homeland. This chapter records the names and the offices of the priests and the Levites and the temple servants who were the first to return after the exile. If you remember in a previous chapter, we talked about Israel, the people in the northern part, the northern tribes being exiled by the Assyrians. Now we're talking about Judah in the south being exiled. That gives you some insights into where the nation is headed after the reign of David, headed both geographically and morally. Our second section is a bit shorter, verses 35 through 44. The family of Saul repeated. So the descendants of Benjamin and the family of Saul was recorded in 1 Chronicles chapter 8, in the last chapter, but they're repeated again here at the end of 1 Chronicles 9. Why? This repetition acts as a bit of a bridge between the genealogies that are found in the first 9 chapters of the book and the historical record that the author is about to embark on in 1 Chronicles 10. The historical portion of the book begins with an account of Saul's death. So that's why he's introduced. His death is going to be recorded. That sets the scene for David then to take the throne, and he's the guy who we're going to be talking about in the rest of 1 Chronicles. So congratulations, you've made it through the genealogical section of 1 Chronicles. Many people, kind of fall off of their Bible reading right there if they survive Leviticus and Numbers. This one might get them, but congratulations. More to come in chapter 10. Now let's talk about our application. The genealogies in this chapter, in the first 9 chapters of the book, make it clear that the Bible was meant to be read as an actual historical document. These records span hundreds of years, and they very easily could have been fact-checked by the Jews, who were the descendants of the people of Judah. These were not made-up names from some kind of fairy tale nation. These are real names of real people, and they should be respected as historical records. Certainly the Jews treated them like they were legitimate historical records. There's a lot of people who love to dismiss the Bible as mythological and say, these aren't real people. Here's one thing that we need to keep in mind as we listen to scholars about the scriptures. We shouldn't accept the hypocrisy of many modern historians who want to discount the extensive biblical record as some kind of faux history, while being willing to accept as genuine every scrap of semi-reliable evidence that seems to fit their worldview. There's a bunch of people out there who say, the Bible, you can't trust the Bible, but then they'll go to like this piece of evidence that has been dug up in some obscure place that 1/10 as reliable as the biblical record, and they'll say, look, this is genuine history. They're willing to accept basically every secular source, but because the Bible has implications for our lives, they want to just pretend like it's all mythological, and we are not going to accept that.